Hi Facebook, my name's Matthew. I'm on the staff at Spaceworks. We're here in our offices in Gowanus, and we're doing the second of our series of Spaceworks Lives, where we visit the studios of some of our visual artists here in their studios in Gowanus. Today we'll be visiting Mary Chang. She's an illustrious artist, a native New Yorker with a long career, and we're going to be speaking to Mary about her work and how it's changing. Mary? I'm good. Thanks so much for letting us visit you today.
Oh, please. I'm glad you could stop by. It's good to see you.
We'd love to just start, maybe if you want to show us some of what's up on the walls here and around,
Okay.
And then we can dive in and chat a little bit.
Do you think you just want to kind of like just move through the room a little bit?
Sure thing.
Instead of me getting real chatty about everything?
I can do that first, and if you want to comment on any of these as we go, absolutely.
All right.
What period are these from, Mary?
Well, these were done in the last couple of years. This was a piece last year. It kind of connects. It's from, urban rhapsody. It has to do with movement and energy. Basically just taking, I've always lived in the city, so it has a lot to do with that. I don't have tremendous, I don't tag on intellectual caption to everything.
Right.
Because a lot of the times I'm moving from, and most artists do, but from my gut. So it's like if I get into the music and I really surrender to it and I allow myself to feel it.
Right.
I want to see if I could trust that.
Right. In relationship to everything you're thinking about and going through with
instead of trying to control things so much. And then there's always you find, because there's so much in you, I think, at least in me, that I'm saying, but a lot of times it's just too much. Like one painting doesn't say it all.
Right, right.
So I think these are like abstracts to the next, and they filter in and out. And even if you see a piece that's a little bit more minimal,
sure,
and this is something that I am working on and developing. These were done about 6-7 years ago. You can move in on them.
Sure.
So now I'm here now, and I'm playing and thinking and seeing what happens.
Right.
This is some work I did. This is with spray. And so these will develop into a larger piece. But these are templates, and I have some other ones, but they're packed away. This I happen to show at an exhibit, so I just put it up here.
You had it recently, sure.
Yeah. And again, these are some energy and movement pieces.
Sure. I'll just step past the table. These are from the last few years as well?
These are 2015. These are 2015, I believe. Yes. I always sign in the back. I know everybody else can sign in the front. Those are 2015. That's 2016. And I'm getting ready to do some work now because I'm focusing on, I've been invited as an artist to go to Holland, to Helmond.
Wow.
And starting some work with, in that box is a grouping of paper. And so I'm just taking everything down and laying it out.
Sure.
But I don't know what the work is going to be. I'm just going to warm up. I have about I would say 9 months.
In Holland?
To work. I'll be a month over there.
Sure.
And
sure.
stuff, and then I'll take time and maybe visit a friend in Italy or something like that.
Right.
So these are older works on paper, but these are also information for things that I want to develop down the line into paintings or three-dimensional pieces. And these are called monotypes and monoprints. So, and this was done in the Gowanus studio. Oh, I just wanted to mention,
sure.
The work in Holland is done with a wonderful curator. Her name is Elise Tock. She's a painter, artist, a storyteller, and it is, oh goodness, I don't want to say this wrong. It's in Cacao Fabrique, I think the name of it is.
Have you worked with her in the past?
I've worked with her once before, and she's just wonderful. I love her work. Yes, I have, just once before. And we happen to be friends
Sure.
as well. We've become friends over the course of knowing each other.
Right. So is that often part of your process, that you start with these monotypes or monoliths and then move on?
No,
in a
these
sort of
are
research
a whole
way?
separate entity into
Sure.
themselves. But because I like this process because it's an immediate process and it's
Right.
very painterly and it lends itself closely related to what I do as a painter.
Right.
But I don't only see myself as a painter because I've done performance.
Right.
And I eventually will start working again where I have pieces, taped up, and then I will bring my movement into it. And it could, if I'm working with paper, I might take the paper and slash it and pull it or something
Right.
like that. Because I'm interested in investing my energy into if I do a work, to determine if I'm really ready to see how I could stretch the work beyond. And that may not always mean putting a paintbrush to it. That
Right.
may mean dissecting it, but not always in such a safe way. It's almost like a conditioning force comes upon you,
Sure.
like a storm or something, and things happen, and so.
Beyond a certain medium or a
right.
single genre.
Exactly. So I might want to see if I could be the storm. I did. There was I don't have images from it here, but I did a little installation outside of my home called 48 Degrees and Partly Cloudy. And the following day, and it was only up for 3 days. The following day we had a big rain, and that was all part of it. And I even found the aftermath of it very interesting.
Sure. When was that project?
That was in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I really want to do more of them. I had 2 other artists participate, and they did interesting work. One artist, Sandra Lepage, created a big, with a paper sculpture covering the whole building practically.
Wow.
And it went along with conditioning forces. And then we had Carlos Pileggi. He works in Zines, and he did a whole thing, what happens when nothing happens, and so that was up for about a week, and it was interesting.
So the overlap between your performance and your painting and visual arts practices have continued.
Yes, I'm getting back to the performance.
Right.
But yes, even when I always say, even when I'm on downtime and it appears to be downtime,
Right.
I'm painting in my head. I'm painting in my head, or I'm doing something in my head. So I'm storing it,
Right.
in
Right.
this little up here.
Before we went live, do you want to we can maybe take a seat and keep chatting.
Okay.
I'll come join you and we can flip through your monotypes if you'd like, or just
Okay.
sort of talk. But I was going to ask, before we went live, you said your work has been changing. Is that something internal that you're going through, something about the external world, a moment in your career, do you think?
That's a good question. It might be all of the above. My work is never, I can't say it's something like a series. You might see connections. Some people do, some people don't. Some
Sure.
people think like you're all over the place, whatever.
Sure.
My work is more process driven. It's more the process of how to get there, more my allowing myself areas to experiment.
Right.
That's what I enjoy doing. And so now I go between building and stripping back. I give myself permission for that.
Sure.
So I'm interested in stripping back a little bit.
In this moment.
In this moment. Mm-hmm.
How
And
long? Yeah.
Maybe because I just recovered from an accident, and I had to take time away to
Sure.
heal, and I had to surrender to that. So, when you have to give yourself time, you get to think a little differently. I don't need the necessary urgency to do something for the sake. I'm trying to think how to say this, because I don't even know. I think part of it is, if I could immerse myself in the breath of the moment, it has nothing to do with inspiration, but to find where I'm leading and trust it and try not to judge it.
Right.
That would be something more authentic coming from me. Now, people think sometimes, and I've been told, my friend said to me, well, she's an abstract painter, someone feels my work is very decorative. Well, that's because that's their view. But people who work in color, like for myself, my work isn't just about being decorative.
Sure.
I think the only thing is, but I don't attach any particular tricky or intellectual or overthink it, is that I know myself as a person. My whole energy is about healing myself, you know, because there's always room for healing, you know, and not healing because you need fixing, but because it feels good, you know, to open yourself to love and energy and trust, respect. You know, sometimes you think you're doing something the right way and you're not, because, you know, you're so about yourself. And so sometimes we have to push the clutter away and see what it is I can do. And so I think what the work does is that whatever you...
Absolutely. How would you say that that moment of trying to sink into the breath of the moment and giving your space sort of the time to step back and healing, has that been a sort of defined period or something that's been coming out of the work?
It comes out of the work, but you know what? It's always been ongoing. You know, because John, that's my partner, he always says, you know, it's like shedding skin. So, you know, like when you're a teenager, you know, you're going through whatever, and a lot of times it's the undercurrent, and then you have these tools that you're utilizing for the expression, you know, in that sense. I mean, right now, and I'm struggling with this. Right now, I want to just get rid of everything. I did it with my socks and certain things that were mismatched, and then I didn't have any socks to wear.
Sure.
But I'm just saying I'd like to get rid of all the papers, all of this, all of that. It's just like too much.
There's a stripping back right now.
It feels, for me,
Yeah.
it's not too much for someone else. This is just for me.
Right.
So you know, I'm like right now I feel like I want a banana and a broom and a bed, you know. So it's like that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm thinking as you speak about this, about my conversation last week with Rachel. She was talking about the last several months and since the election and all of these sort of concerns. And the larger world, she's found really like a very labor-intensive process to be a type of healing for her. That she's doing stitching on paper, and so it takes a lot of focus and becomes a sort of meditative space.
It's what you can find, you know.
Right.
And I think when you work, because a lot of times, sometimes I don't even feel like working. I'm
Sure.
gonna be honest.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter. If I'm coming into the studio, I have to find something to do. And sometimes when you start to engage, at least for me, things happen. You know, so if I'm not worried about so much whether I like it or not, you'll know when you feel it. You'll know. But the thing is to go with it, or, you know, you can always change it. You know, you have more permission than you think.
Right.
You know, I mean, I didn't realize that when I started as an artist, I didn't give myself permission. You know, I'm being honest here. You know, not everybody goes through that, but I went through it, you know, and it takes time to even discover that. You know, but I realized that I like finding different things.
We spoke a little bit about two things that I'm thinking through now. We've talked about the performance and the visual elements of your work. We spoke a little bit too about your teaching artist practice, and then also what it's meant to grow up in New York, stay in New York, hold a career of different types in New York.
Well, I just started, I'm still training. I'm going to school as a teaching artist.
Right.
I'm training with a wonderful organization, Community Word Project. And thank you, Pamela Allen. She's the one who recommended me. And she's an incredible artist and a teaching artist. So this is all new to me.
Sure.
So, I mean, I probably bring things as a mom, because I have 2 kids and a grandchild. But at the same token, it is a little different when you teach.
Right.
And the responsibility in reference to how your thought patterns are. Is that, I need to stop that?
Either way,
I'm
if it'll just go,
okay,
sure.
It'll go. Your thought patterns, pardon me.
Sure, of course, of course.
You know, I have.
No problem.
Now you know I'm not that. I can't even find the thing because I have this new. I have this new cover that my son got me.
Yeah.
And the volume doesn't go down. I'm like the worst tech person in the world. I came into my volunteer class as an intern with old school copies of images I wanted to show the student to show diversity and community.
Right.
But I like it because we could sit in a circle closely, and they can tune in,
Rather than looking at a screen or looking at what they're used to.
We have someone who does PowerPoint, and I had to get on and learn PowerPoint a little bit, but I'm just so slow.
Where you're teaching in a school?
I'm teaching in an after program, and I have a co-teaching partner.
Sure.
Stephanie McKay. She also attends classes with me, and she's fabulous. So she's a dancer and a musician. And we're at Citizen Schools.
Sure.
And then I'm at PS 130 in Brooklyn and PS 84 over there. So I'm learning. I'm really learning. I'm an embryo, and I'm learning.
Sure.
I like being an embryo. I always want to be an embryo.
Sure. An embryo. Can you say more what you mean by that? Just in the...
At the beginning stages of growing and building, and then you get to surface and you get born. And then I get to go back again and do the same thing. Because the moment I think I know it, I'm in big trouble.
Right.
I used to think I knew it when I was a teenager. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad.
That's funny.
But they gave me a lot of freedom.
Yeah, obviously. I'm a teaching artist too, and having students in front of you definitely reconfigures that whole framework, and
that's
feeds
great.
back into my artistry
but you've
too.
Been doing it a while. I'm literally new.
I'm new as well. I'd done a little bit, but yeah.
I haven't even got hired yet.
Right, sure.
But it's okay. I love it. And you know what? If I never used it to teach, it informs you in so many ways as a person. It informs your work. You learn different things about yourself and what you do, and how to think about what you do and how you do it.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious of just about New York and about your decisions to stay, or was that a conscious choice? Was that about the context, either artistically or otherwise, or
I am such a New Yorker. I know everybody's like with New York, but I was born in New York.
Right.
My father was from mainland China, and my mother was raised in Harlem. I never, ever had a desire to leave. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a person that likes to stay within my community. I'm not sure. I have traveled a little bit outside of the country, and I was very homesick.
Sure.
I remember being in Switzerland, which I thought was very beautiful, but it was a little too perfect for me, a great place to visit. I've never, when I grew up, I didn't want to leave my community. I grew up in Fort Greene because for some reason I just loved it. I loved everything about it, even though it was rough and tough. But it's us that do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's us that can make the change. Things stay flawed, or things have challenges if they don't get discovered, or ways to bring love to it. It's like a flower. If you don't water it, or you put gasoline in it, it's not going to make it.
Right.
I know that's a terrible example.
No, but I understand.
Yeah.
Nurturing within communities, staying.
Yeah. So I never was wanting to leave. I mean, it's getting a little expensive. That may force you out. But I mean, I love New York. I love everything about it. I love the diversity. If I see the discomfort, it only reminds me more that I have to be more human and never forget that.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
it's very grounding, you know. I mean, I can't say enough about it.
Yeah.
I say look at it in a different way if you haven't.
Right. Right. I was impressed and interested in reading your bio before we went live about your just all the connections you had in the performance world too, with Studio 54. Is that right? And
Well, I didn't go there often, but
Sure.
I mean that's got blown out of proportion. But I've been there a few times,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
Yes,
And also your project Immigration Office.
yes, I worked with Marcy Allen, an immigrant theater project. I
Right.
worked with Work Theater of Basel, Switzerland, with Walter Wiedwig, whose work is very interesting because he goes into the jungles and just works and utilizes things there. And he taught Walter. I learned a lot from him and so many people. My mentor Anthony Apeson is a marvelous acting coach. He taught me how to allow myself to be vulnerable and knock that little voice off my shoulder.
Right.
You know, because whether or not you have it there, it's sometimes there. You know, sometimes it's so hard to just be yourself.
Right.
You know, to just show yourself to, you don't even realize it. You know, and it starts very young, and it filters in when you're older. You know, and it's. I never had a problem with wanting things. I don't know. My father, with the little bit of money he had, and my mother, God bless them, they made me feel like I had everything. It wasn't that. You know, I just felt a little lost in the world because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't find working for corporate America particularly attractive. I wasn't working for a particular thing.
Right.
And then I found a book by Og Mandino, The Greatest Salesman on Earth. It talked about how wonderful your fingers are, you know, and all of that stuff, right? And I went on this big journey, you know, and I'm still on it, you know, and I'm not, you know, like I've got so much stuff like everyone else out here, so I don't put myself apart. But that's what feeds me.
Right.
I need that.
Right.
You know, so I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm making sense here. I go off on these
No, absolutely.
But I guess to interview me or to talk to me is to hear my tangent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Immigration Office was in the mid-90s, is that right?
Yes, and we were 8 actors from different parts of the world, and I developed a character by name of Mei Li. She was in China during the Tiananmen Square incident, and we spent a year each developing our characters.
Wow.
And Marcy's sister, I don't remember her name, she was a screenwriter, so she helped give tips on how to develop the piece. But Marcy is an outstanding director. Harlan is her name. And this is what her focus is. She tells the stories of immigrants.
Right.
And we did an ensemble piece. And it showed, and actually it got copywritten as a play. And
Sure.
it was wonderful.
And is the Immigrant Theater Project still making work, or was it
Marcy is still making work. And I often think about, I would love to connect with her again and do
Sure.
something. I'm getting that little bug, you know,
Yeah.
in terms of, I don't know what it would be. Maybe it would be something with art, you know, but something with art having to do with community and self or something, I don't know.
Sure, sure.
You know, I never know until it happens.
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that and all of the news coming through and what it means to be truly in community in New York City in this era too.
And this we have our own platforms, we have our own voice, and the reason why I use the outside of my house to do the open gate was because I have it. It's my house, and it doesn't matter if it was just someone to walk by. You know, on the day I would do it, that day it was freezing. I was giving out hot cocoa.
Sure.
But it's an event that I could do, and nobody can tell me not to do it or to do it. It's okay if you if you don't like it, as long as I'm not doing anything to disturb anyone. Or, you know, so we have more freedom than we think.
Sure. Thank you, Mary. I think that's a nice note to end on, actually, just thinking about the self and community. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
You,
Thank you so much for letting us visit today. And we'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.